you can tell your story, connecting with others. So you would get an engraved rock, and then a dedicated website. So Kathy O'Leary, who is part of Million Cups, I've already connected with a lot of people on Million at our Eau Claire Million Cups, but she's helping me develop a website. And this was my site on Caringbridge, and I had her look at how we could connect, or how we could look at how they did things. So right now I've started with the Altoona schools, and these are teachers' rocks. And so kids during the Stay Safe at Home are interviewing teachers and telling why they're important in the Altoona school. And then we're putting those on the website. My story. So an example is words, photos on this dedicated website. So these are my people. And this is just an example of Santa screwing up. I wanted the Barbie townhouse. Santa would come to our house, and he brought the Barbie townhouse for my cousin. And there I was with a metal green sink, not even a refrigerator. My circle expanded, and we all play different roles in life. And then we were celebrating a few years ago. I had 15 people here, and it was Good Friday, and I had not been feeling well. I had been doctoring, hand, foot, mouth. They thought sinus infection. I went to the doctor the next day on Saturday, and they took my blood, thought their blood machine was wrong, broken. So they retested, told me to call my husband, and that next day, which happened to be Easter Fools, I was diagnosed with AML. And it truly was a pivoting point, but we had in my life. But I was told, be positive. Joe Burke, another Million Cups, she made the little be positive Shan. Things were bad. I needed a bone marrow transplant. My brother, he happened to be a match, and he used humor, and we all used humor to get through this. And Tim, well, I guess before I got the transplant, it was taken away a few times, and you're there in Rochester. It's a really hard time, but you know that the body wants to heal. So after I got my transplant 2 years ago, I just said, I need to do something for housing help at Mayo, because that's the biggest, the cancer is big, that's life and death, but where you lay your head down every night is, it matters. So that's where I thought of these stones. So I didn't want my gravestone to be the place where I shared my story. Those dashes shouldn't tell the story. So I thought of these stones, and this is a teacher at Altoona. So we're doing her stone, and the dash is really the life story, your life story. So these are my doctor, and this is another teacher. And I'm going to, I do have some partnerships already in place. One you can see with Altoona School. The other is River Prairie, Mike Golot in Altoona. He has said I can market these stones and they'll create a stone story library. Another place, again, at 1 Million Cups is Joe Burke, and she's presented at 200 Main. So selling my stones there and marketing that way. I don't want you to read this, but this is a kid's version of a teacher's story that we're going to do for Altoona. So right now there are about 20 teachers being interviewed and their stories being told. Challenges. I'm an ideas girl. I've got a lot of ideas. I've got a lot of dreams, but I'm not so good in the business world. So a business plan, do I make it profit or nonprofit? The website design, the management, I've got Kathy working on that. But she's like, this could be a $10,000 project, which then leads into capital. And marketing. I've got more challenges than I do. Well, no, I have more ideas than I do challenges, but the creating of the product, as I want it to be as natural as possible, and I'm having problems with that. I can't get in deep enough with the laser. I've checked out some sandblasting. The cost is very prohibitive. The stone cutter I talked to up in Chippewa said it would be about $50 a rock, and that's not what I'm going for. I'm right now using the Altoona Schools equipment. They're not charging me because I'm not getting paid. I would love for a QR code to work. I can't get it to work. I don't know if it's not deep enough, if I could use different equipment. Again, sandblasting may work. A metal piece may work. I would like to keep it as natural as possible. Here are the, and you can see in the top right, Jot Rocks. I did get that to come out. That's a natural stone, but the rest of them have paint on either enamel. These were my testing, spray paint. The two, Mrs. Panizzi and Mrs. Navarre, have poly on them, and then I lasered them. Jot Rocks 2 is, again, another idea based on the Pokemon Go idea that you could give, like my daughter will turn 21, you could give her 21 rocks and then do a GeoJot where they would like G around the world and people could find your rock and you could hear their story. And kids are like, oh, could you do a joke jot? I've talked to a lot of people, and they're not just a story on these rocks, but you could do just little things that would that you can have a dedicated space to. And my niece, she drew this up, and I was telling her what I was doing, and I thought, oh, that's awesome. So tell your story. And people have been telling stories on stone for thousands of years. You know, our oldest stories are etched in stone from 4,000 years ago. So I like the idea of the stone and adding technology and people having time to tell their story and a place to have it published. That's unique. So that's those are my rocks. I've got like I said, more challenges than I do. Well, no, more ideas than I do challenges, but I in order to move into the business world and monetize this, as Diane would say, um, I I need to get a plan. So that's what I need help with.
Excellent. So now we'll move into the Q&A section. So Shannon, if you want to hit the stop screen share there, and then we can see you and we can gallery all our faces. It looks like Diane has a question. I will unmute anybody that raises their hand. So just open up that participants tab, hit the raise your hand button, or you can drop questions in the chat. So Diane.
Good morning, Shannon.
Hi, Diane.
Hi. I raised my hand right away because I have to leave early, and I just wanted to say congratulations for coming on 1 Million Cups. I know you've been talking about your idea the last 9 months or so since I've known you. So you're on your way, and I love your ideas, and I see that you've already on your way, and I think this group would be a great group to give you the business direction as well today. So I just want to say hi and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and Diane also was, because I have a lot of ideas, and I think, oh, and I could do this and I could do this, and Diane said, you got to close down those tabs. And so I started with my passion of the stories, but I can see it go other places.
Yes, very good. Keep it up.
Yeah,
Keep
thank
it up.
you.
Doing well.
Excellent. Hannah in the chat said, so does everyone that gets a rock have their story up on your website, or where exactly does the story go?
Yes, there'd be a dedicated part of the website, and I'm not sure how much space we could give them, but yes, that would be part of it. It's more the website as the business than the rock.
Excellent. Joellen asked, can you mention the inspiration for Rochester housing that you had in mind?
Oh, just because in Rochester, when you have a bone marrow transplant, you have to stay there. So I had my bone marrow transplant in August, but I had chemo since April. So you have to stay in Rochester. But once you have your transplant, the next day they send you out. And so you have to find housing. And the house, like the Ronald McDonald House is for children. There's the House of Hope. There was no hope for bone marrow transplant people there because of your immune system. So there is one spot, but it's communal living. And that was the big thing that really for us, the money was one thing, but where you're going to go every night was huge. So that's where I would like money to go in this venture. I'd also like to on that partner with Mayo and maybe have doctor stories, and especially now with the COVID, stories of heroes, stories of people, people's journeys, health journeys.
So have you ever thought of, like you said, a partnership with Mayo where maybe there would be stories of doctors or stories of healthcare heroes, or maybe stories of people that have passed through Mayo, and setting up some sort of like a rock garden where you could go? I mean, in the current situation, it's probably going to be more difficult to get people to go and touch and interact with things that are like in the public sphere. But potentially you go to this rock garden, it's something to do while you're waiting for a loved one, is pick up a rock and scan the QR code and read about someone, or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Mayo has in one of the buildings a huge fountain that they have taken the water out, and so that would be just a great spot for that. But yeah, I love that idea. That's a great idea. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. Brooke in the chat asked, have you set up any kind of crowdfunding or a GoFundMe to maybe start fund for the equipment you need?
No, I did a GoFundMe when I was in Mayo, but yeah, no, I haven't. But that's another idea for capital.
Excellent. Do we have any more questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Shannon, as far as determining whether or not you want to go with a for-profit or a nonprofit model, kind of what would be the determining factor in that for you?
Well, so I've talked to some people about that, and some business owners, and the paperwork for a nonprofit is outrageous. And really what people have said to me is people like the idea of nonprofit when they're doing a social activity or something like this. They just a different tax way for your business. So I don't know if that is strong enough, is it compelling enough to pick up a rock to think that it's a nonprofit? You're still paying your people, or to do profit and put your money where you want it to go.
Excellent. Beth asked, what do you feel is your biggest impediment to starting your business plan?
Yeah, Beth is at the hippie banker. I need Beth. I know, because my mind doesn't work money wise. It doesn't work that I know I need the money, and I know I need a plan, but I like to just do. I like to just present and go. So but that doesn't build a business.
Excellent. Anne's got her hand raised here.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi,
Ann. Great job today. I came in a little bit late, so if I'm saying something that you covered at the very beginning, just let me know. But I kept thinking as you were talking, I know the story is really important, but my mind keeps going to what is the minimum viable product? Like, is there some easier, low-cost way to get started that wouldn't detract later when you have the whole piece put together? And I guess what made me think that is there's a garden in a cemetery here that has like rocks for children who have passed. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Anyway, I have a friend who lost a daughter, and a couple of us went together and bought her a excuse me, a stone. This was years ago. It doesn't have any website or story tied to it that others know about, but it was so meaningful to her, as she doesn't live in Eau Claire now, and would come back to Eau Claire and visit that stone in that garden that I think, I don't remember, we maybe paid $100 to have it engraved with one little phrase or something. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, is there a way to, how much would other people go read the stories, and how much is just the stone itself with something on it really important, or maybe a way to get started? That was it.
No, that is a great thought. And these truly, these cost me nothing to make the stone. I don't know if you saw the stones in the PowerPoint, the teacher stones. Well, they cost me time, which is money. But if I poly them and I'm free, you could make multiple stones. You could set up a template and or a life, a birth, and give those stones to people as you could have your family stones. And I've seen on Etsy people with a word like their family, and it would be like Diane, and then their word of the year, and then they have a basket of stones that and those really, the cost is minimal. And if you wanted to do large quantities, again, the stones are cheap and you can laser them in one time. It's the it's the laser just doesn't engrave deep. And so that's a problem. But if I poly them, which another Kathy O'Leary said to me, when you were a kid and you licked rocks, she didn't, but she said, you could see it, and that really does work. So, yeah, that's another great idea, because that would be very cost effective. And, so yes, thank you.
We've got a couple questions in the chat about target market. So can you explain your target market and how you would explain the product and ask for the sale?
Yeah, no, I can't. That's where I need your help. No, I see all kinds of target markets. That's my problem. Narrowing it down, like Diane said, closing down the tabs. But I see, schools, nursing homes going in and telling their family story and having those rocks out at their door that, people that visit could come take a rock. Yeah, I see that you could give them on a birthday, and especially like Anne's idea, then you, on an 18th birthday, give 18 rocks and scatter them about throughout the world. Yeah, I see too many places, and that's why I started again with a school. I had people that can write, and I have the stone, the equipment. So that, yes, I haven't narrowed it down, but I take ideas.
Yeah, so Ben and Doug kind of tag teamed some ideas on how to help you kind of focus that in. So Ben said he thinks a challenge right away when you're excited about your idea is selecting one direction / target market to select. If you have to focus on one target market to get started, what are your options? And of these, what group do you believe is the best fit? And then Doug said, thank you for sharing your amazing personal story. And along the lines of what Ben just said, if you could articulate your why, I think it might help you focus.
Yeah. That's, well, I guess right now my target market is schools, and I could take this concept into other schools and have the equipment and the writers there to make the product. So I guess that's where I started. I hope to expand. I like your idea for the Mayo and telling the doctor's story, but starting small and having just a word on there. Anne's idea, it really is compelling.
Excellent. Ben also added, select one target market whose problem to solve will be easiest for you. Then, as Anne said before, build a minimum viable product to test / adjust your product / offering.
Right. And I've been testing and retesting and yes, trying all different methods.
Excellent.
I don't know how to laser, and I don't know how to do any of the laser, but 9th grade kids do. So that's who has been, that's my workforce right now.
Excellent. We've got one more question in the chat, and then I'll go to Laura. So Ellie is wondering how many color options there are for the rocks.
Any, You can do any. I personally don't want any color. I mean, I like the natural, and I like it to be in a river where it, over time goes back to its natural shape. That's me. But you could do any color. It's I used a lot of nail polish because you need the enamel. But yeah, it's limitless if you want color on it.
Excellent. Laura.
Hey there, Shannon. I'm just thinking through target market idea and kind of basing it on your story. And one idea that I had kind of combined with the idea of Mayo is having them be like survivor stories or success stories of some sort. And you could even play on the idea of the rock. So it could be like Shannon rocked AML or somebody rocked cancer or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it could even become, that garden that Adam was talking about. So a collection of like hope and something that exists there with names.
Right. Not just surviving, but thriving.
Yeah. Yeah, you could pull that in. I think it gets into Anne's point about, who's paying for something. And if you were buying somebody else, like somebody thrived and recovered from cancer, I think the monetary idea of buying $100 rock is easier to kind of justify or think about it like helping you celebrate. And we're like, fine what you went through and what you did. So kind of just thought of bringing all these ideas together.
No, perfect. Thank you. Really good idea.
Excellent. Emily's got her hand up here.
Hello. Thank you for sharing your idea with us.
Hi, Emily. Hi, Emily's daughters.
Yes,
What do you think? Can you do a rock?
Yeah, please get your
What?
You want a rock?
Sure. Thank you. I like
An
it.
easy sale.
Yeah. What was I gonna? One of the things I was thinking about too that might be helpful as you're trying to figure out who your target market is figure out who has the money to pay for your product, right? So, I mean, you talked about that right now everything is kind of free because you've got some kids who are helping you and you've got free access to the technology, but if at some point you have to pay for the technology or when you start to think about ramping up your production, how do who's got the funds to pay for it? And maybe that can help. Not that you want to exclude people, but if, that doesn't mean that if you get to a point that like somebody who wants to do a birthday couldn't jump on board to do this, but that who you're targeting, your window is really the people who have the money, who have the problem, who have, sort of all those boxes, and it might end up being some list making. And then also doing some interviews for the people who are really excited about what you're doing, sort of asking some questions about where they're getting their information and why they are interested in your product, and all those sorts of things can help you maybe start to narrow your focus too. But nice work. And it's really cool to see you taking such a low part of your life and turning it into something that drives you. So nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. Great idea.
Brooke in the chat added, have you touched base with UW Stout? Her husband's a mechanical engineer and thought that their equipment might be better equipped to engrave rocks compared to high school equipment.
I did make a contact at Venture Home on the open house with the entrepreneurship director at Stout, and we talked, and then this whole COVID thing happened, and so yeah, I have not gotten back, or I have not gotten back to her, but that I thought of Stout too. I have a daughter that goes to Stout, and their equipment and their graphic design, there's all kinds of things at Stout that really fit into this.
Excellent. Becca asked, can you screen print or pad print instead of laser etch to get your minimum viable product?
screen print. I don't know.
Becca, do you want to add to that?
Well, I was just thinking maybe the aesthetic of the top of the rock, you would still want laser, but maybe the website or the QR code or something that is not so important to the top look could be something cheaper and easier. And I don't know how long, and maybe if you do a varnish after the screen print, it will stay for years instead of the lifetime of the rock, but maybe years is also still good.
Right.
Just an idea for a cheaper way, faster, with less setup way to get your product out there.
Awesome.
Just an idea. Yeah.
No, it's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Beth.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi. Hi, Hippie.
Hello. Just to kind of come back to follow up on the business plan side of it, is that I think sometimes the business plan feels so big that we end up resisting even wanting to take steps forward trying to do it. And sometimes the resisting of it feels worse than actually the action of doing it. So I think if you're associated with getting just even started on the business plan, I would really recommend reaching out to the Women's Business Center. And I think do you know Carmen there, Shannon? I think you know Carmen.
Yes, I've looked into it. I just have not done it.
Yes.
I guess that there's a fear factor, I think, too. And
yes.
Real. I mean, I'm doing it without that. So then I think, I can do it.
The nice thing I think it is about a business plan is that it helps you, all of the stuff that you're talking about with developing your target market and figuring out financially how this is going to look, it really helps you focus. So going through the process will and I think it's one of those rip off the Band-Aid and just take the one step of making the call. You don't have to do anything after that, but just take the one step of either calling or emailing the Women's Business Center just to make some movement towards it. It'll help you feel more accomplished. And I think it'll be a good way for you to really look at all the different aspects of the business, touch on each spot, and help you focus a little bit more.
You're right. And my husband is nodding. He's like, you've got to do something other than play with rocks. Yes. And now they're all home with me, Beth. That's another, I like to be the stay-at-home mom without kids, but I'm here with the family.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I will do that.
Yep, just take one little step. Don't think even past it.
Thank you.
Excellent. And Beth also dropped in the chat, and this is good for everybody. The SBDC, Small Business Development Center, can also help you with your financial projections for free. So they're a really great resource in town to check out if you are having difficulty figuring out those financial projections for your business. Ben.
Yes. Hi, Shannon. Congrats.
I did it. I got it on. Ben worked. He also learns that I'm not technically savvy, but we work.
It's a constant learning process. Constant learning process. So, congrats. Thought you did great. To support what Beth just said, business plans can be super overwhelming. I think taking that one step at a time is really important, and even maybe a smaller step, just to get the ball rolling and build your confidence, is completing a business model canvas, which is just a one-page business plan. You just identify 9 key areas of your business, and they can be in bullet points. So you can literally do this. It's 9:39. You can have this done by 9:45 if you needed to, honestly. So I'm going to, in the chat, I'm going to put a link to the Wikipedia page because it has a business model canvas that you can print out. And I'm also going to put a 2-minute video that introduces the different sections of the business model canvas, but it's just a 1-page business plan. And I think once you do that, you're going to feel that confidence. You're going to be like, all right, I know what I'm doing. I can sketch out how this business will look. And then you can take those next smaller steps like Beth was talking about. So
perfect.
Progress is key, and congrats and keep it up.
Thank you.
Excellent. I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat or anything there. So if anybody does, feel free to drop them in there. Otherwise, we always end with the question, what can we as a community do for you, Shannon?
Well, I think I gained a lot here. I will take your advice on Ben's and Beth's and Diane's, and I will get on to do the business plan. I think that the biggest thing is that support. That was great.
Awesome. Nick also dropped in the chat, another option to explore would be the Career Development Center. They do laser printing, screen printing, and engraving. So something specific to this.
Where is that? At Eau Claire? Or
do you want to hop on real quick?
That's the Ellie Phillips Career Development Center, just over by Bakery Place.
Okay. And
I've ordered T-shirts from them. They do a great job screen printing, but I also know they do laser engraving.
Okay, beautiful. I'll check into that.
Awesome. I think that is another great suggestion. So thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Watch for that email with the next link.